And I was astonished to learn that the Women's Foundation of Minnesota raised $10 million in just 5 weeks. The president and CEO is Gloria Perez. She is with us live via video link up, so you can watch it at YouTube at the WCCO radio channel. Gloria, good to have you with us.
Jason, thanks for having me.
$10 million is pretty incredible. Were you surprised by the response?
Well, I sure was, and I want to definitely give credit to the fact that this money was raised by a coalition of 32 philanthropic organizations that asked the Women's Foundation to be the host for the funds and distribute them to community. And so all of us initially set a goal of $5 million and thought that would be a great start to address some of the impact due to Operation Metro Surge. And to our surprise, we were able to raise twice that amount.
So when you look at the money that you brought in, a lot of the money's already gone out the door to families and community organizations, right? Tell us about, like, where does it go? What is it doing? How did you guys do that?
Absolutely. Well, because it's a Immigrant Rapid Response Fund, in our minds, we wanted to make that distribution as quick as possible. And initially we raised $150,000 and thought we can immediately put 10 grants of $15,000 out into community. And that was our first week that we started this. But within 5 weeks, we've been able to have 5.7 million distributed into community because this group of leaders has been meeting on a weekly basis to assess where are the needs and how can we put money into community. So it's been going to organizations that have already had an infrastructure to help our small business communities, to help our neighbors with food, access to emergency health care, access to rental assistance. And these are the organizations that our colleagues were able to bring to the fore so that we could vet them and get money in their hands as quick as possible.
Gloria Perez is with us, the CEO and president of the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. Just to circle back, you said $5.7 million has already been deployed?
That's right. Yes. And the goal is to not hold on to the money, right? I mean, the goal is money in, money out. And
this is scary, though, right? Like, because the truth is, and we all remember the COVID era where the goal was money in, money out. And a lot of it was sort of unfair. You had some people getting money, other people didn't. It was kind of a train wreck. How do you avoid that sort of scenario? Did you learn from the way some of this stuff went down at that time?
Absolutely. I think one of the ways that we're able to mitigate that kind of risk is the fact that the group of leaders that I'm talking about came together very quickly, but it was actually started about a year ago when a group of Latin philanthropic leaders came together to say, let's prepare in advance of 2026 and start thinking about how we're going to work together to deploy money into the Latin immigrant community, right? So we started talking about what's the infrastructure, who do we know, how do we map the needs and so forth.
Was there an anticipation that there might be some sort of, that this type of moment might arise?
There was anticipation, and I think as a Latino community, a Latin community, we really thought we would be the target. But what we quickly noticed was that our Somali, East African neighbors, other people of color were being targeted as well. And so we pivoted to invite neutral communities to join us in making decisions about how we were going to get money into community. But what I really want to say is at the core of how we've been making decisions has been strong relationships between my peers in community. Many of us are from community. And so we know these organizations, we know they've been a part of the nonprofit infrastructure and have been under-resourced for so long. And this is an opportunity to get money into their hands quickly so that people can get what they need.
Gloria Perez is the CEO and president of the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. Part of what I find fascinating about this is that, this really was an immediate rapid response emergency scenario where you have people who can't afford their rent or can't, maybe they're scared to go to the grocery store and buy food or whatever, like trying to figure out what were some of the agencies that you granted money to try to make a difference. I mean, do you have any stories of where all right, this made a real impact?
Absolutely. I mean, the Latino Economic Development Center, I think people know how Lake Street businesses have been impacted, the east side of St. Paul. The Latino Economic Development Center is making assistance grants to small business owners so that they can stay in business. That's really important. There's an organization in St. Cloud, Huya Hour, that is working with the East African community primarily, making sure that women and children, and their families are getting food, that they're addressing their healthcare needs, that they're able to have safe, stable housing in this moment. Hmong American Partnership, having volunteers go out into homes of community members and deliver emergency care packages. The amount of isolation, I think, is something that we didn't anticipate, much like with COVID, how demoralizing that would be. It is not good to be living in fear.
I changed.
It diminishes
Thank you.
everybody's ability to make good decisions and be healthy. And then lastly, the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center has been helping with rental assistance.
It's so interesting, Gloria, and the reality is we know that this sort of rapid funding, part of the goal is to make sure you sort of, I don't know, to use a medical term, you're trying to stop the bleeding so things don't get worse. And as anybody knows, when you've been dealing with debt or uncertainty, a couple of weeks of that, you're like, well, the first week you think maybe you can kind of right the ship, and then the second week it gets scary, and the third week it gets horrifying. And so it is an interesting part of philanthropy, right? Because we think about this as being more like, I don't know, you guys have a more organized way of things versus like the GoFundMe-ification of trying to deal with this stuff.
We do, and as philanthropy, and certainly at the Women's Foundation, we're looking.
There's like a weird echo that was coming.
It sounds like her mic's off and she's talking to the computer. Yeah.
Sorry, am I?
No, you're fine. You're all good. It's all good.
So at the Women's Foundation, we're really looking to invest in long-term inequities and drive innovation for gender and racial justice. And I think many foundations are looking for long-term systems change. What we know is we can't get to that systems change if our civic society is unraveling. And so we are at this moment triaging some of the problems. At the same time, we're planning for what those long-term implications are going to be to rebuild the fabric of our community.
It's really great work, $10 million, and there still is an opportunity for people to donate if they want at the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. You could just Google it, or it's wfmn.org, and that'll get you right to the website where people can donate and make a difference in the community. Gloria, great work. Really smart that you guys were sort of thinking this through ahead of time to be able to respond in real time.
Thank you, Jason. It's been an honor to be part of the process.
Gloria Perez with us, the CEO and president of the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. We are going to break. Pretty cool, right? Cool stuff.
Fantastic.